Please stand by. We will begin in 5 minutes.
Hello, anak?
Ma, miss na kita. Tagal na nating hindi nag-usap.
Pasensya na, anak. Busy lang si mama. Siya nga pala, andito ako ngayon sa iRemit. Libreng tawag dito. At naipadala ko na rin yung pang-board exams mo.
Talaga po? Thank you, ma.
Pagbutihin mo, anak, ha?
Gagalingan ko, ma. Pag-pray mo ako na makapasa sa lahat ng subjects ko, ha?
Siyempre naman, anak. Kayang-kaya mo yan. Kahit malayo ang mga pangarap mo, mithiin ay buhay at darating sa'yo. Gawang pagsuko ay hindi kasagutan upang takasan ang lahat ng iyong nasimulan. iRemit ang tahanan upang hindi ka mag-isa. Kami magsisilbing tulay, kami ang lagi mong kasama. iRemit, malasakit ay iyong madarama sa iRemit. Kailanman ay hindi mag-iisa. Kasama mo kami kahit saang dako, lagi ay gagabay sa pangangailangan mo. Bukas ang pintuan, basta't para sa'yo. Ika'y maririnig saan mang dako ng mundo. iRemit ang tahanan upang hindi ka mag-isa. Kami magsisilbing tulay, kami ang lagi mong kasama. Sa iRemit, malasakit ay iyong madarama. Sa iRemit, lagi kang may kasama. Hindi ka mag-isa, kami magsisilbing tulay, kami ang lagi mong kasama. iRemit ang tahanan upang hindi ka mag-isa, kami magsisilbing tulay, kami ang lagi mong kasama. iRemit, malasakit ay iyong madarama. Sa iRemit, may tahanan ka. Sa iRemit, pagmamahal na tunay ay madarama. Pagmamahal na tunay ay madarama.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We will begin this meeting with a short prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Let us pray. Dear Almighty God, we lift up everything to you. grant us peace and comfort in this time of uncertainty. We are grateful for all the people who continue to serve with selfless dedication. Bring your protection upon us and thousands of them, giving comfort to the afflicted. Take away the fear and anxiety and feelings of isolation among the sick. Thank you for using IREMEET as an instrument of your love. Thank you for letting us serve others during this time of need. We praise your holy name and put our trust in you, O Lord, as we await your divine healing. All this we ask in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.
Before we start, we would like to introduce to you the members of the Board of Directors joining the meeting today. Mr. Arsenio M. Bartolome III, Chairman of the Board and Independent Director. Mr. Ben C. Tiu, Vice Chairman, Director, Chief Executive Officer, and Chairman of the Executive Committee. Mr. Haris D. Hasildo, President and Director. Mr. Bansan C. Chowa, Director. Mr. John Y. Tiu, Jr., Director. Mr. Gilbert C. Gao, Director. Mr. Calixto V. Chiquiamco, Director. Attorney A. Bayani K. Tan, Director. Mr. Jose Joel Y. Pusta, Independent Director. Mr. Felix Adelfo B. Lopez, Jr., Independent Director. Attorney Ana Francesca C. Respicio, Corporate Secretary. Executive Officers of IREMEET and representatives of the Professional Stock Transfer Incorporated, the corporation's stock transfer agent, are also joining the meeting in this live webcast. Representatives of R.S. Bernaldo and Associates, our external auditor, are also in attendance to respond to questions or requests for clarification on the corporation's financial reports. To officially start today's meeting, we acknowledge our chairman, Mr. Arsenio M. Bartolome III.
Ladies and gentlemen, pleasant good morning to one and all. Welcome to the annual shareholders meeting of IREMEET, the country's biggest non-bank remittance company. As current regulations will still discourage mass gatherings and promote physical distancing, we have decided to hold our annual meeting of the shareholders here in a virtual format. On behalf of the Board of Directors and management of IREMEET, it is indeed a pleasure to welcome our stockholders who are joining us in this live webcast and extend our appreciation for your participation. We also thank our shareholders who have appointed the chairman as their proxy for this meeting. Madam Secretary, were notices of this meeting sent to the stockholders?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have sent notices for this meeting to our stockholders as of record date of June 30, 2020, in accordance with our bylaws. I have with me the certification of sending of notices.
The Secretary will please ensure that the certification will form part of the records of this meeting. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there is a quorum. Out of the 611,639,122 outstanding common shares, there are present in person or by proxy holders of 479,858,490 shares, representing an attendance of 78.45% of the total outstanding capital of the corporation. The final tally and breakdown of the stockholders present or represented in this meeting will be reflected in our minutes.
Notices having been sent and a quorum being present, we're now ready to transact business. Though we're not meeting face-to-face this year, we have strived to provide our stockholders the opportunity to maximize their participation in this meeting. May I invite everyone to listen to a brief presentation on the rules of conduct and voting procedure for this meeting.
The rules of conduct and voting procedures are set forth in the information statement and in the notice of annual stockholders meeting in accordance with the rules of the SEC. iRemit values its stockholders and encourages their participation at this meeting. Thus, we have set up facilities to afford all stockholders the opportunity to be heard. First, stockholders who notify the corporation of their intention to participate in this meeting by remote communication and are participating through the live stream may send their questions or comments through the chat box available on the lower right of your screen. Second, questions or comments received will be read during the question and answer period after all matters in the agenda have been taken up. As our time dedicated for the meeting is limited, the questions and comments which will not be read and responded to during the meeting will be answered via email. Third, resolutions will be proposed for adoption by the stockholders for each of the items in the agenda for this meeting. Each proposed resolution will be shown on the screen as the same is being taken up. Finally, we have tabulated the votes cast as of July 26, 2020, as you can now see on your screen. These votes are from stockholders owning these voting shares, representing said percentage of the total outstanding voting shares. The results of this preliminary tabulation will be referred to when the voting results are reported throughout the meeting. The results of the final tabulation of votes with full details of the affirmative votes, negative votes, and abstentions will be reflected in the minutes of this meeting. We would also like to inform the stockholders that our stock and transfer agent, Philippine Stock Transfer Incorporated, will act as third-party tabulator of votes cast for this meeting. Finally, we would like to inform our stockholders and other participants that as required by the SEC, this meeting will be recorded. Thank you.
The first item in our agenda is the reading and approval of the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting held on July 5, 2019. Madam Secretary, were copies of the minutes of the previous stockholders meeting made available to all stockholders?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a copy of the minutes of last stockholders meeting was posted in the corporation's website soon after the meeting last year. We've also included a link of the said minutes in the information statement we have sent to the stockholders prior to this meeting.
Madam Secretary, please present the proposed resolution and the voting results therein.
Thank you, sir. I'd also like to request admin to flash this resolution. Management is proposing the adoption of the resolution to be flashed on the screen. Resolved that the minutes of the annual stockholders meeting of the stockholders of IREMIT held on July 5, 2029 is hereby approved. Based on the initial tabulation results, shareholders owning 78.45% of the total voting shares have voted in favor of this resolution. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, the resolution has been approved.
Let us now proceed to the next item on our agenda, the President's report and presentation of financial statements. Copies of the information statement with the annual report have been sent to all stockholders prior to this meeting and were likewise posted in our website. The annual report contains summaries of operations and the audited financial statements for the year 2019. May I now call on our President, Mr. Harris V. Hasildo, to formally present the report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors, our esteemed shareholders, fellow officers and colleagues in IREMIT, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this year's stockholders meeting. I once again take pleasure in reporting the performance of your company. Despite political uncertainties around the globe, personal remittances from overseas Filipinos reached a record high of $33.5 billion in 2019, or 3.9% higher than the $32.2 billion recorded in 2018. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said that sustained growth of personal remittances during the year was driven by land-based workers with work contracts of 1 year or more, who sent a total of $25.6 billion, which is 3.5% higher year on year. Personal remittances from sea-based and land-based workers with work contracts of less than 1 year sent a total of $7.1 billion, or 6.5% higher, 6.7 billion in 2018. Cash remittances from land-based and sea-based workers increased by 3.6% to $21.3 billion and 7.3% to $6 billion respectively. Inflows were mainly from the United States, which accounted for 37.6%, followed by Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Japan, UAE, United Kingdom, Canada, Hong Kong, Germany, and Kuwait. Today, migrant labor force is still the most significant driver of globalization, although everything is at a standstill due to the ongoing pandemic. Technology will have a far-reaching impact on the remittance market. Many traditional banks, fintech, and other financial institutions have studied and tested the blockchain technologies used in money transfers. Around the same time, several firms have launched their offerings into remittances. Your company is striving very hard to keep abreast with all of this. Our success in obtaining our registration and license to operate a remittance and transfer company with a Type C EMI or electronic money issuer and VCE service registration will ensure that we can hold our own in this day of digital financial ecosystem fueled by growth drivers such as evolving customer demands, changing demographics, collaborations with appropriate partners, newer technologies, and robust compliance framework. Your company processed a total of 4.04 million transactions in 2019, which is 5.8% lower than the 4.29 million posted in 2018. In terms of value, your company processed and fulfilled $1.76 billion worth of remittance transactions. This is 2.7% lower than the $1.81 billion in the previous year. iRemit's consolidated revenue was lower by 8% or 72.04 million pesos from 893.9 million pesos in 2018 to 821.83 million pesos in 2019, mainly due to increased or decreased volumes brought about by strong competition in the market, temporary closure of our Italy office, and challenges in our agents, as well as the decrease in average conversion rate, which contributed to the 3% decrease in service fees. Gross profit remained strong at 481.92 million pesos with 59.4% ratio to revenue against 531.4 million pesos from last year, a 9% decrease. Total operating expenses ended higher by 8.17 million pesos or 1.6% from 503.1 million pesos in 2018 to 511.27 million pesos in 2019. Capitalized expenditure, however, has increased as your company continue expanding its digital capabilities, marked by iRemit X Phase 2, software development and enhancement amounting to 16.98 million pesos in 2019. These internally developed web and mobile-based applications strengthen our online presence, addressing the challenges brought about by emerging new players in the industry, most of which are technology-based companies that utilize the internet in offering remittance services. Our net income remained positive at 5.6 million pesos for 2019, though lower against 34.3 million pesos in 2018. This is due to several factors, mainly due to the low volumes in 5 countries down by 50.6 million and Forex and commission being down by 19 million pesos. iRemit also partnered with Jumio, the leading artificial intelligence-powered trusted identity as a service provider, creating a streamlined digital onboarding and eKYC process for us. Jumio's technology solves 2 of our most pressing problems: onboarding scalability and customer experience, which saves us money and time by providing eKYC speed and precision, at the same time providing superior customer onboarding experience. Recognizing the Filipino people's preference to pay in cash, despite having options to pay online, Mavshack AB, a global internet TV services provider, partnered with iRemit in order to facilitate cash payments for GMA package subscriptions in 23 countries where Filipinos live in large numbers around the world, making good use of our growing network of remittance outlets consisting of subsidiaries, branches, and tie-ups in 23 countries and territories in Asia Pacific, North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Since most of an OFW's earnings are earmarked for basic needs, iRemit also allows OFWs to pay amortizations for home mortgages, insurance premiums, and pre-need contributions. Recognizing the fact that many OFW households dream of having their own homes, your company continues to partner with Ripple for cross-border funds transferring using the Ripple Net for collection of housing loan amortizations under its iPay auxiliary services. In 2018, we have signed collection agreements bringing our present partners to 60 real estate companies. iRemit became the country's pioneer in utilizing Ripple's blockchain technology in facilitating international payments. This makes iRemit the first Filipino company to move money across borders on a full blockchain platform versus the traditional messaging system used by the banks. The transactions moved via the rails of Xcurrent from Malaysia to the Philippines within seconds. The initial partnership iRemit has forged on the RippleNet is with Malaysia's top international fintech, Money Match. To date, iRemit is extensively building partnerships on the RippleNet, extending both its global geographic and demographic presence. In conducting its business, iRemit is fully aware that it must also contribute to the betterment of Filipino society. Its corporate social responsibility program includes accepting donations to CBN Asia. For 5 straight years, we have mounted a search for Huwarang OFW families and individuals in partnership with CBN Asia. This collaboration has reached Filipinos all over the world. Inspiring stories of OFWs are featured and given recognition in order to help highlight the positive and rewarding aspects of being an OFW. The search for huwarang OFWs gave recognition to the sacrifices and triumphs of our kababayans. iRemit's future direction emanates from its vision to be the ultimate choice remittance service provider globally. iRemit pursues this vision and relentlessly relies on the innovative drive of the organization geared at providing more meaningful and more accessible services to its customers. In this challenging business environment today, your company continuously evaluates innovation options, making use of the latest available technologies to enable delivery of its services to overseas Filipinos and their families in the Philippines. Your company continues to invest in information technology hardware and software in order to upgrade its infrastructure and allow delivery of services in a seamless manner across the world from mobile and web directly into accounts and e-wallets, strengthen the security of its systems and platforms, and ensure continuity of business operations in case of any disaster. Rapid technological changes have given rise to a new breed of technology companies that are moving the financial industry forward. Fintech companies, as they've come to be called, are easing payment processes, bringing down costs for consumers, reducing fraud, saving customers money, and ultimately vastly improving financial inclusion. Your company's management is closely watching these developments and has already crafted a cutting-edge strategy that is now currently being implemented not just to keep up with these advances, but striving to be at par with global leaders as well. iRemit's online facility, iRemit X, is now in Canada, Singapore, Japan, UK, Hong Kong, and soon in Taiwan and Italy. iRemit X in Japan uses different payment methods such as automated teller machines and online banking and convenience stores, or konbini. The iRemit X mobile app is downloadable from Google Play Store, and iRemit customers can now send money anytime and anywhere. We live in a fast-paced world where geopolitical complexity is the new norm. Technology is advancing, regulation proliferates, and connectivity is expanding around the world. Thus, it is essential for any company, especially iRemit, to pursue a clear vision, stay true to its purpose, and honor our values of being purpose-driven, globally minded, and trustworthy. Your company's management wishes to assure you that iRemit is ready and able to meet these challenges through prudent and sound governance practices, its risk management and compliance programs, its investments in technology and people development, and the innovative spirit of its human capital to make remittance and other financial and payment services available to Filipinos and citizens of other countries around the world. On behalf of the management, let me express our gratitude for your continuing support and your unwavering confidence in your board of directors and your company's officers. Thank you, and once again, have a pleasant morning.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will now invite our dynamic and forward-looking Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ben Sithu, to present the CEO's outlook. Mr. CEO, you have the floor.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow members of the board, dear stockholders. When I came back 5 years from the 5-year sabbatical leave, I was surprised with the technological advancement that are available in the market. So we have spent the next 15 months as chairman of the executive committee upgrading our system and digitizing our remittance platform. I was appointed CEO on September 19, and I'm happy to announce that together with the management team and the 1-year support of the Banco Central and the Security and Exchange Commission, we have transformed iRemit into a fintech company relevant to the remittance business, having secured our virtual currency license and our EMI licenses, or what they call electronic money license. As of this date, 85% of our foreign offices have already been digitalized, meaning to say, this allow our OFW to send money to the Philippines using online computers or mobile phones anywhere they wish. They can always also remit using deposit-taking ATM machines depending on the law of the country where they are located. We are also proud to say that iRemit now is ahead in our digitalization and at par with any of our global competitors, or even more ahead, compared with bigger remittance company in other parts of the world. In anticipation of the decrease in our OFW due to low oil prices, the COVID-19 pandemics, and other advances in technology in the numbers of countries, we are currently studying our remittance model and changing the trajectory of the company. We will be rolling out in the very near future certain technological-based initiatives and projects. We will work to ensure our relevance in our business. Hence, we are one of the first non-bank and non-bank remittance company to rely on blockchain technology. We will be implementing also our virtual currency exchange in the next 6 months. All throughout the pandemics, ECQ, GCQ, and all the rest of the Qs, I'm proud that iRemit has remained steady and resilient, serving the needs of the kababayan 24/7, 364 days a year, despite of all these challenges. Today, things may not look good, but we are working hard towards a better future for this company. iRemit will not just aspire to be another remittance company. iRemit will, from today, aspire to make the difference for the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Please note that all questions raised on the President's report, including the financial report results for 2019, as well as the CEO's outlook, will be read and answered in the latter part of these proceedings. In the meantime, may I now ask the Secretary to present the proposed resolution on the item and the voting results.
Mr. Chairman, management is proposing the adoption of the resolution now being flashed on the screen for approval of the corporation's 2019 annual report and consolidated audited financial statements as of December 31, 2019, as audited by our external auditor, R.S. Bernaldo and Associates. Based on the advanced tabulation of proxies and early votes received, Mr. Chair, shareholders owning 78.45% of the total voting shares have voted in favor of this resolution. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, the resolution has been approved.
Thank you. The next item in our agenda is the ratification of all acts of the board and officers from the date of the last stockholders meeting up to the present. Our corporate secretary will explain this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our board and management seek the ratification of all their acts which were adopted from July 5, 2019 until today. These acts and resolutions are mostly reflected in our minutes and include the corporate acts as shown on the screen. If I may, I could give a brief summary of these acts.
Now go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Appointment of corporations officers, including the chief executive officer and vice chairman, as well as the assistant corporate secretary. Designation of authorized representatives for transactions with various government agencies, such as the BIR, the Bureau of Customs, and other trial courts. Adoption of a redundancy program. authorization and ratification of authority of the management to enter into various collection agreements and memoranda of agreement, election and appointment of the members to various committees, availment and or renewal of credit line facilities, withdrawal of remittances from our Nostro account, approval of the corporation's organizational chart, opening of accounts with fintech companies, renewal of the corporation's existing bond with an insurance company, authorization to enter into foreign exchange transactions with local banks, application for membership with the Philippine Payment Management Inc., designation of additional sureties, appointment of the new stock transfer agent, Professional Stock Transfer Inc., and finally, approval of the corporation's financial statements, both separate and consolidated, as of 31 December 2019. The corporate acts of the board for the past year that we just presented were entered into in the ordinary course of business, with those of significance having been covered by appropriate disclosures. Ratification is also sought for all acts of management performed in accordance with these resolutions of the board from July 5, 2019 until today. The proposed resolution is now reflected on the screen. Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to report that the shareholders owning 78.45% of the total voting shares have voted in favor of this resolution. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, the resolution has been adopted.
Thank you, Attorney Jessica. The next item on the agenda is the election of directors of the corporation for this year and until the next election. As disclosed in the information statement, the board of directors composed of 11 members. The corporate governance committee composed of myself as chairman, and Mr. Jose Joel Pusta, and Mr. Felix Adelfo Lopez Jr. as members, have deliberated on and approved the list of nominees for election to the board. The list was presented in the information statement. At this point, I'm pleased to announce that the following nominees, possessing all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications to be a director, have been selected by the committee for election as regular members of the board of directors. They are Sir Calixto V. Chiquiamco, Sir Bansan C. Choa, Sir Gilbert C. Gao, Sir Haris D. Hasildo, Attorney A. Bayani Kaitan, Mr. Ben C. Tew, and Mr. John Y. Tew Jr. And the following have been nominated for election as independent directors: Sir Arsenio M. Bartolome III, Sir Felix Adelfo B. Lopez Jr., Sir Jose Joel Y. Pusta, and Sir Alvin G. Madam Secretary, please present the results of the elections.
Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to report that each of the nominees of the election as director has garnered the votes as shown on your screen. I certify that the votes garnered by each of the nominees are sufficient to elect them to the position. Accordingly, the proposed resolution for the election of the nominees to the board, as shown on the screen, has been approved.
Thank you. Let us now consider the appointment of the corporation's external auditor. May I now turn over the floor to our Audit Committee Chairman, Mr. Jose Joel Y. Pusta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Audit Committee has pre-screened and recommended, and the Board of Directors has endorsed for the consideration of the shareholders the reappointment of R.S. Bernardo and Associates as the external auditors of the company for the year 2020. R.S. Bernardo and Associates is one of the leading auditing firms in the country today and is accredited by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Pusta. Madam Secretary, please present the proposed resolution and the results of the voting therein.
Mr. Chair, management is proposing the adoption of the resolution now being flashed on your screen for appointment of our external auditor, R.S. Bernaldo and Associates. I'm pleased to report as well that the shareholders owning 78.45% of the total voting shares have voted for the adoption of the resolution, which has therefore been approved.
Thank you. Are there other matters on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I believe we have some questions sent in by the stockholders. Ms. Maria Cristina Castillejo will read aloud the questions and the comments we've received.
Was there a strategic change in the company's direction as a result of the COVID-19?
May I request our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ben C. Pugh, to respond to the question?
Yes. Even before the outbreak of the pandemic, our company has begun diversification and digitization initiatives. We have applied for and have gotten our license in electronic payment and financial services license, as well as our virtual currency exchange services. All of these licenses were acquired early this year, or about the time of the quarantine, were implemented by the government. We have also strengthened our business continuity framework and are introducing product and services suitable for the new normals. As we know, our challenge is coming from the Middle East, where there's very digitalization in the Middle East and the mobility of the people in that area. That's a challenge we face, but we are solving that. And also we've finished all the unfinished business in Australia and in the United Kingdom, and the Brexit in Italy. We're looking forward to introducing new product and businesses related to the remittance or enhancing the business of the company. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Teo. As previously discussed, not all questions will be answered in this live webcast. Rest assured, however, that questions not so responded to, including those that have been sent through this live webcast, will receive their reply via email. So our last question for today's meeting is, how are you managing iRemit's employees during this pandemic?
May I request our President, Mr. Harris Sasildo, to respond to this question?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. During the ECQ, we were able to maintain operational capacity by having our workforce go on a skeletal shifts. And at the same time, we established work from home protocols for departments that were able to perform or do their tasks in the comforts of their home. At the same time, for those who were here working in the skeletal shifts, we provided lodging or room accommodations so that their movement will not be so much as to spread the virus. So we were able to prevent the spread of the virus here in the office. And we also provided shuttle services or point-to-point transportation for those who are also commuting during the ECQ. Now, when the government shifted us to the GCQ, specifically the NCR, and pursuant to the IATF's guidelines on the implementation of quarantine, which took effect July 16, the company already went back to full workforce. But while we were doing that, we have also conducted already COVID tests on all our employees, and which we have already done twice. And we are using a rapid test kits that have been or that are accredited by the Department of Health. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam Secretary, are there any other matters on the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, there being no other matters in the agenda, there are no other matters in the agenda.
There being no other matters to discuss, the meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you very much for joining us. I wish everyone good health as we move forward to these very challenging times. Please continue to take care of yourselves. Keep safe. Thank you. And God bless one and all. Maraming salamat po.
Padala, I remit, kaya't mag-I remit, may ngiti sa bawat padala. I remit, mag